I think this just might be my new favorite type of game mode. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks, where today we'll be taking a look at a 5 versus 5 on an 8 versus 8 map. It's Ice Cream and you all know it, you all love it. It's one of those maps that we often see long drawn out battles of 8 players going up against 8 others. And I'm really excited to see what goes down between 5 commanders going up against 5 others. The 5v5 format has really taken me by storm. I'm really loving it. And so today, in this replay, we're going to see what these commanders can do. Spawning on the southeastern side and representing the blue team as an Armada commander, all things looking good. It's going to be Comrade Carl. Comrade Carl going for that triple metal extractor, triple windmill start. Wind power is, on this map, it's better, it's good enough. There's just not a lot of buildable space. It's a lot of slopes and terrains and whatnot, and all the good space is kind of on the combat line. So yeah, I think I like advanced solar panels a little bit better on this map than wind turbines, but all said and done, I don't think this is going to be a problem whatsoever. Going into a bot lab here, don't mind that either, but you do have to be careful because although those bots allow you to move ticks around the map very quickly, get a lot of aggression all over the place, it also means that your enemy can of course go for the same thing, and you always have to be wary about that on these big open maps. Maps like, for instance, Flats and Forests suffer from the same problem, although I guess it's not the map that suffers, it's the players. Anyways, representing the red team, spawning on the southern side of the western side, it's going to be Angry Strawberry, dressed up in red, and she's playing Cortex. Also looking quite nice. Has that bot lab out, and same sort of story, although of course I do favor the grunts over the ticks. Now, not to get my tick heads real upset about that, but I just mean that the grunts can usually be microed a little bit better than the ticks. They tend to last a little bit longer into the game. You can kind of make a mid-game army out of grunts and then fiends later on, as opposed to ticks. You kind of really have to phase out pretty quickly. As soon as enough LLT gets built up here, yeah, there's really not a whole lot you can do with those ticks. That being said, early commander snipes can be very powerful, and especially in a 5 versus 5, because of course the win condition in the game of Beyond All Reason is to snipe all of the enemy commanders, and that means that an early snipe on a, well, 1/5 of your enemy's win condition is, yeah, it's pretty good. Only takes about 20 ticks to do it. Depends on your micro and how comfortable you are with it, but a little bit of practice and I'm sure you'll be killing commanders with a couple of ticks in no time. And let me tell you, those enemy commanders, they hate being sniped by ticks. I can tell you that myself. That's a pain that you kind of learn firsthand, and then you torment people with secondhand. It's really great. Already making a couple of pawns and sending those across the map instead of the ticks, which is a little interesting. Usually the ticks are used for more scouting than this, but maybe just extra wary that something might be coming across the map, which is absolutely what I would expect here. We do have an air player all the way in the back here for Farsalis, who is going to be making a Cortex air lab, possibly to make a whole bunch of shuriken to support these early front lines. Definitely very viable. Pawn did go down here, ran right into Angry Strawberry's commander. There we go. And she blasted that poor pawn to smithereens. Grunts here now going to be taking front and center stage as we get into a nice little early game here. Everybody pushing out, so that's one thing about the 5v5s. You don't expand quite as quickly. Tactful Wolf is expanding backwards, interestingly. Not really what I would have gone for. Expanding backwards with your commander, especially with a vehicle start, is very... Well, it's not that it's risky per se, it just means that your commander is going to take so long to get to the front. And so you can see now, with only 3 commanders on the front, really, for the blue team, I guess they're going to be going up against 2, though, so maybe it balances out. I guess I'm too new to the 5v5. I don't know exactly what the defined standards are going to be. All these commanders are just trying their best. It does, of course, mean that there's a lot more reliance on you to protect your line, though, because, well, there's a lot less people to hold the line, right? So Angry Strawberry's doing a great job holding hers. I'm Dangerous doing a great job of posturing in the sort of middle of the map here. But these 2 commanders, Haxcom and Zorga, are both pretty late to get their commanders out on the field here. Zorga, oh, weird. This is a bit of an odd build. So Zorga has gone for a lot of T1 solar panels into a metal storage, into an energy storage, getting a whole couple of wind turbines up, and as well as an incisor. Very late on the production, the unit production, but also failing to claim these metal extractors is a huge waste of economy. Yeah, this is unfortunate. This is very subpar, or at the very least, this is a very inefficient way to play this, I do believe. Sending at least one constructor over here to claim all these metal extractors, if not the commander. You might as well use the commander if you're not going to be doing anything else with it. just to try and at the very least get some of this metal back in your economy, especially if you're going to go for these T1 solar panels. We already talked about how the wind speed is not phenomenal on this map, so I can't hate on the solar panels as much as I usually like to, but still, if you're going to go into them, you have to be aware of the fact that they cost so much metal, and I really do like the advanced solar panels a whole lot better. Haxcom now at well, coming up on about 400-ish energy per second, 450-ish energy per second, more or less. Oh, it didn't finish. Oh no. Oh, tell me he notices. Oh no, Haxcom. Oh no. Oh, he doesn't notice. It's disintegrating. Okay, there we go. Phew. That was close. Eventually, the Pawns and Incisors will attack through here, and yeah, maybe Zorgo was feeling like he was playing on the back line here. Oh, okay, yeah, here come the pings. What do you expect your team to do, mate? You have one Incisor out on the field that got bursted down. This is a bit odd. Yeah. I have a feeling Zorga might just be learning the game, and indeed the chevrons do sort of confirm that suspicion. Zorga, if you're listening back to this, let me just tell you, one of the things that you want to get very comfortable with is pumping out units very, very quickly. Oftentimes, making a couple of Incisors and being very aggressive on the front lines is going to save you from having to clean up this aggression here in the late game. Be sure to always be sending your constructors around and getting metal extractors wherever possible, and you'll hopefully avoid this kind of a scenario in the future. Anyways, moving forward, hopefully the red team rather realizes that they've got a player that's a little bit lower here, or at the very least a little bit less experienced. It's funny because he's the second highest rated player on the red team, however has the least experience, the least hours in game. Very odd how the true skill system works, huh? That's part of the reason why I was so critical. I didn't realize how new the player must have been to Beyond All Reason. So I'll take a step back on the criticisms there. I do apologize. I'm coming off of criticizing just a couple too many of those pro level games where I get to be very, very stingy about exactly how each of those people should be playing and how neat and tidy each of those games should be. It's definitely a bit of a different pace here. Front lines have been established. LLTs going up against LLTs. Comrade Carl. Commander Carl is the capitalist one. Comrade Carl is the Soviet one. Communist one, I guess is the correct thing to say there. I don't know. Don't quote me. I just talk about Beyond All Reason. Nice little bombing run over here. Couple of these whirlwinds going to be dropping their heavy payloads over here. Oh, retarget. Oh, okay. Well, wasted secondary bombing run there. You know, I said wasted, but actually they did manage to kill a little bit of build power over there, so that's not the end of the world. But yeah, I mean, think about how much better these bombers would be doing if they were targeting this instead of, you know, bombing a new trench into the earth. Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer here. For Salas forgetting to micro his bombers, and they are now, well, I mean, they sure are. They're the bombers ever, that's for sure. A chainsaw, we have enough time to build a chainsaw here, is pretty impressive. Haxcom going to eventually be able to get that heavy T1 anti-air defense out. Sure, I mean, okay. It's, yikes. Really need to micro your bombers. So much more damage could have been done here. There was basically no anti-air protection for anything over here. And we certainly could have killed a tremendous amount. I mean, the amount of times that they bombed just the middle of nowhere right there was huge. I mean, it had to have been at least 6 bombing runs that certainly could have killed, oh, I don't know, about 3,000 metal in advanced solar panels. QASANQWP. We'll call you Purple. Purple here has done a great job of establishing a front line. Needs to get these metal extractors up and running. That'd be really nice. Do we have a constructor? We do have a constructor. Just send the constructor bot to go capture all these. I think that would be really nicely here. Just Borisu going to be setting up a little bit of a defensive perimeter up here as well. And the lines are being drawn here. So this is one of the things that we see a lot in these lower skill games is lines being drawn, but aggression being really kind of hollow. Like there's aggression all over the place, but it doesn't really feel like the aggression is mounted in one direction or another. It's just kind of like fighting for the sake of fighting. And it's one thing that's definitely easy to improve upon, right? Just start analyzing exactly where you're fighting and why you're fighting. and start thinking if there's any way for the fighting to benefit you. Obviously, Angry Strawberry positioning her res bots up here is very nice because that's a lot of free metal that she gets from fighting. So using those res bots is one way to get yourself back into this game. Are those Angry Strawberries? They have like a green hue to them. That's odd. I guess that's just the reflection of the beautiful skybox that this map has. Show that to you really quickly. Anyway, back to the action. Nice little engagement from those pawns right there. But yeah, I mean, pawns pushing into thugs and rocketeers, you're not really going to get the trade that you're hoping for, that's for sure. And I think there's just enough forces here for Angry Strawberry to clean all this up. Looks like the res bots did go down, which is a bit unfortunate. There are a couple of Lazarus here, keeping things nice and patched up for the blue player. Centurion on the front line are very tanky. They're an interesting unit. I'm not really sure how to use Centurion. I've tried a couple of times and I just can't quite figure out the most efficient way to use them. They're nice because of how resilient they are, but I mean, maybe what you could do with them is use them like a glorified thug. And essentially you just use them to march forward, and you have res bots in the back healing them and repairing them, and do some sort of like an armada thug push, if you will. Either way, though, these res bots have done a great job eating up all these wreckages. Yeah, that was about 1,000 metal there, and now we're down to, well, just about 600. Make it 700, more or less, as units continue to fall here. But yeah, those res bots definitely ate up more than their value, and yeah, that's going to be quite a bit of money in the bank account here for Comrade Carl. Decides to go into a T2 lab, and I think that's probably a pretty good decision. Although you definitely want to make sure you get that after you start up that production after you have enough metal. Okay, actually, yeah, gonna eat up the T1 lab, and I was also gonna say can eat up these T1 solar panels as well. I think yep, there we go, gonna eat up the T1 solar panels, making me proud, Comrade Carl. Nicely done. That's the proper way to do a T2 transition right there. Very nicely done. Strawberry setting up a couple of these spy cameras. Not bad. I think those spy cameras can definitely allow you quite a bit more options, quite a few more options when you're engaging things tactically here, trying to make the right decision here. Already some Sheldon are out though. Looks like Strawberry was able to get herself a decent enough advantage to pump out a T2 lab. Eventually T2 units are going to come out for Comrade Carl as well, but they're going to hit the field just a little bit later. So the question is, can Angry Strawberry push forward far enough to net herself an advantage here over the blue player with these first couple of Sheldon? They basically need to be stuck in a fight and stay in a fight for a while. First one is dumbfiring. I'm not sure if are these all just queued? No, okay, this is just the first one. We do have the radar here. There is no jammer for Comrade Carl, so let's see what Strawberry's vision is here. Okay, has the radar signature, so at the very least there's going to be firing away. Not accurately, mind you, but that's all right. They don't really need the accuracy. As long as they're firing, they're going to be getting some value out. Centurion's on the hill, again being rezzed up here by, or being patched up, I should say, by the res bots over here. Nicely done. A lot of Centurions in this game. I use Centurions very rarely in my own games, and maybe that needs to change. Maybe Centurions actually have a little bit of hidden potential to them. I think one thing that would help here is a spy bot or a radar bot. Something to grant a little bit more line of sight here. Help these Sheldon hit their target a little bit more accurately. Radar goes down right there. There is a backup that was built by Comrade Carl, but eventually the line of sight is being pushed back one by one. Commander could also be used for line of sight, I suppose. Gauntlet has been built over here by just Borisu. Interesting. Gonna be going for a jammer as well, and I think that's probably a good idea. Mask your radar signature as well as you can. The Gauntlet trying to get its damage in, but I don't think it's quite gotten its value yet. 6 kills, yeah, probably not enough. Mace is engaging from the high ground though, taking a wonderful trade, and yeah, it looks like the pink forces are going to be repelled. There's also a couple of hounds out, providing that extra burst of T2 firepower, but the tank army is here. Wow, that's a lot of medium tanks. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can see the composition down here in the bottom left. It's basically 1 of everything and 2 more of everything else. Very, very powerful stuff. Tons and tons of metal going into this. And I'm dangerous, more like I'm in danger, as that commander gets real low on health. 6-3, and down goes the hot pink commander, meaning that there's nothing to hold the line over here. Yeah, that's a pretty good breakthrough right there. Medium tank's now going to storm their way across the ice, try and find some sort of damage. They're headed right towards Zorga's base. Zorga has gone for massive static defense, but instead of, well, rather than going for any sort of aggression on the fronts here. Looks like the hot pink player will tap out of the game. Unfortunate. Still plenty of bases here. Maybe I'm sensing a little bit of frustration at the lack of frontline play. Maybe I'm reading into things though. Meanwhile, on this side of the map, looks like Angry Strawberry was able to snipe the commander here of Comrade Carl, and that's going to be the vast majority of the forces going down here. Angry Strawberry now with a positional advantage that is well worth stating. Resbots here patching up everything. I love the little green hue on them. It actually makes them look so pretty. What cute little Resbots. Right in the middle of all this death and destruction. Beautiful. Looks like the Resbots are going to patch things up rather than eat them, and I don't mind it. Certainly. As soon as T2 starts coming out and you start getting into that realm of everything being T2 rather than T1, you sort of have to stop repairing the T1 units and instead just reclaim them. And I wonder if we're already hitting that stage already. Gunslinger here going for the commander snipe. Oh, careful, careful. Loses the Gunslinger. What a bummer. That Gunslinger was really his main hope right there. Oh, another one is going to start killing some of these Resbots here. Yeah, okay. Actually, a pretty nice pick right there with those Resbots. Got to be very careful with the Gunslingers. You really need to keep them in combat as much as possible, but you also can't lose them. So, of course, a dead Gunslinger is a inexperienced Gunslinger. Wow, okay. We're a little too heavy in the advanced solar panels, even for my taste here. Currently bordering 7,000 metal in T1 advanced solar panels. Don't get me wrong, that 1800 energy per second is quite impressive. Very, very nice. Going to allow you a decent economy, to say the very least, but certainly going up to T2 should be well within your cards. I'm glad to see that these metal extractors were eventually taken by the orange player. Looks like the yellow player wasn't really interested in anything except their own 3 metal extractors. Oh, wow. Long-range anti-air tower before T2 metal extractors or anything. Interesting. Very interesting. Was there a spy bot out here? I could have swore I saw one. Might have been used already. Yeah, I'm guessing it must have been used already because there's not one here anymore. Resbots patched together a gunslinger on the front line, so that's quite nice. And eventually, yeah, I mean, these gunslingers can do quite a bit of work here. Sheldon, kind of a good counter to the gunslinger just by virtue of the fact that they can fire away at it from so far. The Quaker, also a fair counter to the Sheldon, just because of how far away they can fire and the massive amount of damage they do. They have a decent AoE on their attack as well, which does allow them to shred apart any units that are clumped together. And units that tend to clump together include, at the very least, the Sheldon. Many of these Quakers are going to take a fabulous trade here, as we can see. T2 vehicles counter T2 bots, just as the T1 vehicles counter T1 bots. Nice infinite engagement over here, trying to constantly keep the fighting up over here, but it's starting to drain the purple player. We need some Resbots to eat up a lot of these corpses over here, otherwise this is just never going to be economically viable. Oh, you thought Warfare was a game of skill and strategy? No, no. Warfare is a game of economics. I'm joking, but it's also like, I don't know, 60% true, 70% true. Let me know down below what percentage true you think that is. Oh, there was a spy camera there, but it did get located. Nice. Resbots are making this infinitely better for Strawberry here. The inclusion of just a couple of Resbots really allows a bot player to get into their element. We actually just took a look at Angry Strawberries, another one of their games. What was that? Was it on Istis Crack? It was on one of the smaller maps. It was, I believe, it was a 4v4, and she showcased there how powerful those Resbots can be as well. Glad to see that that's a habit that we're starting to get into here. I definitely think it's a it's something to watch if you're looking to improve your bot play, especially if you're finding yourself struggling against vehicles. This is a great example of exactly what you should do. You need the Resbots, and you need enough of them to patch your units together as well as patch your enemies together, or just gobble them up as quickly as you can. Either way. Radar and sharpshooters are coming out here. Okay, Comrade Carl, sick and tired of dealing with his units, wants to plink them away one shot at a time. Sharpshooter, not the quickest fire rate in the book, but certainly one of the most powerful. Capable of grand feats of destruction. in the click of a trigger. And what you don't want to do is lose them on the front line. That miss rally is very expensive. Sharpshooters cost 680 metal, which is fine. That's, you know, that's within T2 economic ranges. But the 20,000 energy that they cost is huge. I mean, you have to have a really substantial economy to fund sharpshooters. Not to mention it takes a lot of energy to recharge them as well. So you have to be very, very careful with your sharpshooters. Make sure that you don't lose them, because also as soon as they spiral, they're very powerful. A bunch of Quakers got jumped on over here, and yeah, those Quakers actually being bursted down here is really, really nice for the red forces. Now marching inwards here. Sharpshooter may have clicked its rifle for its last time as it falls to debris here. Grunt stream also moving forward. It's very powerful, especially as Cortex commanders, to keep that early T1 bot lab around, because even a small stream of grunts like we see here is very, very good at providing a sort of substantial amount of covering scouting. It's not covering fire, it's drawing fire. Shuriken here. Okay. Yeah, Shuriken gonna paralyze a whole bunch of these Sheldon over here. We do have some T2 bombers out as well as those whirlwinds. You know what? I don't hate it. Eventually, light anti-air is going to be set up by the commander. Ooh, that was a nice hit right there. Some SAM turrets coming up as well. Trying their very best to shoot down whatever they can. Shuriken. Ooh, ooh. Managed to paralyze it for just a second, but it will eventually manage to recuperate here. There's a new EMP design in the works. Ooh, commander went down while I wasn't looking. There's a new EMP design in the works where EMP will gradually slow units and slow their fire rate and their movement speed until eventually paralyzing them, which I think is just great. I think that's exactly how EMP should work, in the sense that you get hit with an EMP beam and you're 30% paralyzed, you should be 30% slower and fire 30% slower, right? Like, it makes sense. Your systems are EMP'd to death. Middle section was brutally demolished by a whole bunch of these sharpshooters here that were firing away at anything that they could. A bunch of sprinters here to try and clean this up. Sprinters are very effective against sharpshooters because, of course, they move quick enough to jump on top of them, and then also they are cheap enough that you can afford to lose a couple of them, right? You need something semi-expendable when you're dealing with sharpshooters. I was wrong. This one hasn't clicked its shots for the last time. Clicked its rifle for the last time. It will indeed be firing away here. Let's look at what this can hit. Okay. Currently, there are 0 enemy units that this LRPC can hit, which is interesting because in my mind, I feel like if you're going to queue up a plasma cannon like this, you'd see the red circle and you'd kind of, I don't know, you try and put some enemies inside of it, but deciding to put no enemies inside the red circle is a bit of an interesting decision, and I don't think it's quite the optimal one. T2 metal extractors are also so good. If I have one tip for you, Zorga, it's to go for some of those T2 metal extractors. They are very, very powerful. I mean, if this sharpshooter just has its reign of the party, certainly going to be more than happy to fire away at any of these sumos that are just sitting around here. Spybot also made here by Comrade Carl. We could either EMP with it, but also you get that perfect vision with it, which is always very nice, especially with sharpshooters. I would definitely encourage maybe 1 or 2 more Spybots, just so that we have the option to EMP, but we also don't lose that vision, right? Sumo's trying to push in here, taking heavy fire from the sharpshooters, though. Man, it is dangerous pushing into those sharpshooters. Where'd the grunt spam go? Has that been turned off? No, there's just a lot of build power flickering back and forth between these two. Looks like eventually, yeah, the grunt spam is actually turned on just as I went to look back there. I think Strawberry is absolutely right to pull the forces back here. Wait for those grunts to get up front so that at the very least you're not losing your more expensive units. Spybot was caught right there, luckily for Strawberry, unfortunately for Comrade Carl. I love when we see the red versus the blue player going up against each other. It feels like a very fair battle, right? Both players making plays and outplays, working together and working against each other to try and figure the best way to counter their opponent. I feel like it always leads to some interesting matchups. Quite the force of stagnant troopers over here, just holding the line. Really think these could afford to be a little bit more aggressive. A bunch of bombers are lying on the floor over here. We've got 4 bombers and 2 of those condors, the scout planes. There is a bunch of fighters up in the air though for the orange player, so at the very least there's a chance that those bombers get shot out of the skies. Here come the grunts. Do. And I mean, it's exactly what you need, right? Those sharpshooters cannot fire very often, and the grunt is a perfect waste of resources to counter that. A spy bot or 2 wouldn't be bad either. A couple of sharpshooter sneaking their way around. That's pretty annoying. Yeah, a couple of spy bots in order to give you that vision would be really nice. Some gunslingers coming in from a different angle as well. Managed to take down an LLT for their lives. Not sure if that was quite worth it, but that was their choice. They knew what they were signing up for. Yeah, the Great Wall here. It's a lot of T1, right? Like, we've got so many of these maces right here. If I just double click right here, that's 10,000 metal worth of T1 units. Honestly, at this point, you'd be better off just reclaiming all of that and going into proper T2 unit production, but if you can find a way to use them, I suppose it's no problem. At this point, you've got so many of them that you might as well just spread them out in a big line and march them across the map just to see if any slip through. It's a $10,000 scout, but better than not doing anything with that $10,000. You could certainly be growing an economy with that $10,000. Sorry, getting some pretty decent shots, but eventually it falls to the waterfall of Sheldon Doom. Wouldn't mind seeing a couple of grunts peeled off here just to stand over on this side to catch any of those ticks that slip through. But of course, also what you can do is go for a Janus, and or not a Janus, sorry, a Juno, and EMP down wherever you think those ticks are coming from. At this point, it's got to be painfully obvious to Strawberry exactly where those ticks are coming from in this now 4 versus 5, yeah. So I do wonder what the end game is looking like here. Versailles is thinking about building an economy. I can see it in the cursor movement. Thinking about planning out a T2 economy. There go the energy converters. Going to start up right away. And I think, yeah, all things said and done, I think this is probably about the right time for it. I mean, frankly, I think 15 minutes ago was probably the right time to start thinking about it, but, oh no, that was this plasma cannon. Just want to set to target this area over here. This spot right here. It's where that target has been designated to destroy. The enemy is in that direction. Affirmative, sir. Removing that direction. Something to that effect. Alright, this little bombing run right there. Oh, there are some flak trucks here. That's quite nice. Oh, the bombers could get a huge connection right here. They do take out the build power, which is quite nice. Yeah, okay, I don't mind that. They certainly could have gone after the fusion reactors, but I don't think they had vision of it. So going after the build power is probably the next best thing. Oh, a Juno missile is launched. Who launched that? Who do I give credit to? Looks like Scyther did man. Oh, wait, no. Yes? No? Came from somewhere back here. Missing the bombing run. I hear the bombers, but I wanted to find where that Juno came from. Anyways, yikes. This is all hell broken loose here. Strawberry is now dealing with massive anti-air force. Or, sorry, a massive air force. Flak turret here. King of the anti-air, though. Nicely done. Eventually shoots all of those bombers out of the sky, getting rid of all of those sonar planes and shooting down any of those gunships wandering in. A couple of Zars still getting sturdy on the front lines here, though, and you have to be so wary about them. Sharpshooter's a pretty good answer to it, though. The Zar, that is. Still looking for that Juno. Oh, there it is. Oh, it was Strawberry's Juno. Lovely. Very nicely done. Yeah, shutting down the tick spam can be absolutely critical here to achieving your goal. Well, that was a nice little bombing run right there, taking out a couple of those sharpshooters. Well worth it. Geothermal plasma battery has been built, and that thing can absolutely shred through the T1 units here. Let's see if it fires on any of these maces. They are within range at this point. Yeah, you can see those connections are pretty powerful. When it connects anyways. There we go. The most accurate unit? No, I wouldn't say so. Very powerful though, certainly. Turning down the sounds just a smidge. $10,000 metal worth of T1 maces, all to accomplish this. This thing. Why aren't we pushing any further? Oh, these are fight commanded. Oh, I see. The commander went down. Certainly could have degunned some of those, but I guess it's not the end of the world. Yeah, we're fight commanded. Okay, that explains a lot here, actually. Yeah, these definitely should be move commanded. The pulsars, or the starlights rather, could be fight commanded, but you definitely want to move command the tanks. You want them to break the line. Starlights are excellent for piercing through and killing these shield generators, like so. And I'm super glad to see those mixed into the composition, because otherwise, if you just had the regular artillery, they'd have a really hard time breaking through. Sharpshooter is also very prone to starlight fire. Starlight's also very prone to sharpshooter fire. kind of a rock instead of rock paper scissors. They just all are the same and hit as equally hard. The starlights just fire a little bit further away, making them a little bit more dangerous. But they're also quite slow, and they can't really fire if they're moving backwards. It's a you know, there's trade-offs all over the place. Flak trucks here are the real heroes, shooting down all of those bombers so that none of this gets you know, bombed out of the skies. Bombed out of the ground. The units don't get bombed from the skies. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, a nice little push has been rebuilt up here, and now Strawberry is going to move her forces in. Bunch of fiends accompanied by grunts. One of my favorite compositions of all times. No, keep them together. If you keep them together, the grunts will take care of the ticks really nicely, and the fiends will burst down anything a little bit sturdier. Definitely one of the best compositions in my opinion, especially if you're looking for something that's cheap and effective to spam out in large numbers. I definitely think that's a solid contender here. And that will be another Tsar going down. It's a lot of metal and Tsars that are, yep, going to be eaten up by the Resbots here from Strawberry. Nicely done on the southern side, and that is going to be the blue player wiped from the face of this match as the Fiends, the Grunts, and eventually the Sheldons jump on top of this blue base, tearing down all of the economy. Eventually. There we go. Big explosions as the energy converters do pop, those buildings filled with TNT, and down goes the blue player's base, knocking out 1 of 5 players here from the blue team, bringing our scores back into a line with each other, at the very least bringing our scoreboard back into balance. As far as actual scores go, the red team is with 4 commanders and the blue team is only at 2, meaning they're on a sort of a critical situation here. Tactful Wolf, one of the last commanders remaining, and unfortunately it will be going down quite shortly here. Final commander is Pharsalis, and I mean, it's if units are in your backline like that, you've got significant issues to deal with. There are serious problems that you need to handle. The overflow is now leaking into Tactful Wolf's base, and this is going to be a very, very quick dismantlage, I do believe. Eventually, T3 units are out. We can see that there was a Razorback built by our purple player here. Advanced Fusion Reactor sort of cleans up all those units, but obviously at the cost of the main base of Tactful Wolf. Now, there's one way to shut down a Razorback, especially these early Razorback, it's the sharpshooters, so I do really like to see those included in the mixture here. I think they shred off about 20% per shot. It really is significant. Oh, Commander. Gotta be careful. Oh, Commander goes down, but at the very least it does manage to take down the Razorback. Purple says, didn't play for a few months. Ah, fresh off the old, the resting block, huh? It all makes sense. Or it is all well and good, I should say. No, I feel like the purple player played pretty strongly this go around here. Despite having a name that is impronounceable to me, I do feel like their play was strong. However, I think the forces were just built up larger and larger here for Haxcom, who, you know, I looked away for one moment and now he's up to, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 advanced fusion reactors. Very nicely done. At this point, the forces have been rendered and there is nothing, well, hardly anything, at the very least, left for the blue team. Hanging on by a thread here, but you can see that the economy is strictly in an advantage for the red team. Even with reclaim, I don't think that the blue team is going to find much purchase anywhere on the map here. A couple of consoles eating up metal as well, trying to fund from the front, as it were. Starlight's very good at bursting down Razorbacks as well. Well, any T3, really, but Razorbacks sure are included in that batch. And there they go. One by one, the Starlights pick apart anything that stands in their way. Quite a powerful unit. Eventually, forces are rebuilt and resent, and Angry Strawberry is going to be able to push through and sweep out from behind the blue team. Fiends jumping on top of all of these solar panels. And I do believe that's all that she wrote here. Oh, well, that was a nice little bombing run right there. Took out a whole bunch of bonds. How many kills on that bomber right there? 14 kills on that bomber from one bombing run. Is it going to save the game? I doubt it, but it was pretty nice. That bomber, at the very least, can go down with some pride. Oh. Well. Less and less nowadays. Build power does go down, and I think that's going to be all she wrote here. Pharsalis' commander, marching forward boldly. The advanced fusion reactors for the purple player have gone down. The very last commander making its very last stand. D-guns against all odds here. And that will be the blue team taking the L on this epic game of Ice Scream. Very nicely done by our red team. Angry Strawberry winning the golden cow. Doing everything and having just a wonderful battle on that southern side. There really was so back and forth for the longest time. Very nicely done with those resbots. I always love to see those. Let me know what you think about the 5v5 format, especially on these 8v8 maps. I think it really does offer a lot of variability, right? It offers each player the ability to get a little bit more creative because they have a little bit more metal under their belt. Anyways, I sure hope you enjoyed. I know I sure did. I hope you, well, I hope to see you in the very next daily Beyond All Reason video, and I will see you next time. Peace out, folks.